Welcome to the Kawarthas Small Business Podcast, where we believe the Kawarthas can be the most thriving region in Canada for small businesses. I'm Brian Rump from Profit Coach.
And I'm Matt Garrity from Matty G Digital.
And we are recording from the Thrive Podcast Studio at Thrive Co-working Community, 18 Kent Street West in downtown Lindsay, Ontario. And Matt, I am going to stun you today. And our topic is going to be Brian's hypnosis pre-talk.
I thought it was going to be something else, but okay, this is good. Let's go.
Yeah, I am a newly minted certified consulting hypnotist, which I think we referenced on the Les Smith episode. And part of accessing or using hypnosis is a thing we call the pre-talk, which is really just talking about what hypnosis is and answering some questions. I don't think we really did that when Les was on. We have an episode with Hillary where we talked about it a little bit more, but I don't know that we really dove into it. So I thought it'd be fun to just record an episode where I go over the basics and we can talk about
I think this is good because I think everyone's tired of hearing you tell them that you're a stage actor.
Yes.
So it's nice to throw out that you are a certified hypnotist now.
Yes.
So are you allowed to use this at the bar?
At the bar? We all use hypnosis at the bar. Hypnosis is a very natural state, and it's a thing we go through, all of us, every day. We can laugh at it. It's suggestion accepted. So if you've ever been to a bar and someone's like, hey, do you want to do a shot? And you say yes, that is technically hypnosis.
So why did you, I'll take it back. I will address this as a professional interviewer, as I am. Why did you become a certified hypnotist?
Really because Les asked. So Les, friend of the show, got certified to be able to train people to be hypnotists through the NGH, which is the National Guild of Hypnotists. It's the biggest worldwide organization. I believe 50,000 people. It's very focused on professional standards and ethics. And it wasn't really on my radar as something I wanted to do, and I probably wouldn't have sought out training for it. But hypnosis has helped me a lot. It's helped me learn to manage my mind. I see the benefits I've accrued from it. And when he talked about the training, originally it was to just help me better in conversations, help me be more aware of others' body language, learning some of the techniques, trying to figure out how I would use it as a practice. And that's why I decided to do the training.
So you're going to start, I'm not joking with this, but in a way it sounds like you're going to start hypnotizing people during conversations.
So, yes and no.
A quick no would be great.
Yeah. Then this is the fun nuance part of, like, when we ask what is hypnosis. So, typically what you're thinking of, you go see, and you've been talked about on the show, working with Hillary, you sit in the chair, she takes you down deep, into the theta state of your mind. We could do a lot of positive suggestion work in the alpha state, which, if you picture brain waves, quickly the beta state is where we all are most of the days when we're busy, we're running around, we're thinking hard, our brain waves are going really kind of fast and frequent. When we start really relaxing, get in the zone a little bit, we're in the alpha state. Below that is the theta state, which is hypnosis, where our mind is really calm. Below that is sleep. That's our delta state. So we all go between sleep and active brain waves, every day, in and out. So in a coaching conversation, even this podcast, all the conversations we have, we are focused, relaxed. We're all in the alpha state. So conversationally in that, if I give positive suggestions like, you can do it, that is hypnosis. So my original plan was just learning some of those positive techniques and how to talk, how to, give that good language to encourage people and be a better coach. Good coaches, good teachers, it's all, hypnosis, basically. We just don't know it. And when you actually do know it, then you can do that.
Before I started hypnotherapy, like over over a year and a half ago, or at least a year ago, I used to think that my mind was always in that. What was the first state you said?
The beta state.
The beta state. Racing. It was chaos.
Yeah, chaos. We're thinking hard about all sorts of things.
So, since I've started hypnotherapy, that's not been the case anymore. And it wasn't right away, but it took a while, and took a while to recognize that too. How does the average business owner work on getting into that more focused alpha state then?
That's part of why I decided to do this, to be able to teach some of those techniques. And partly for me, it's been experiencing it. A couple of things we talk about and some of the kind of sayings out there is, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So just learning the practice of, whether it's guided or not guided, of slowing down your brain and your mind. And when you've experienced it, when you're in that alpha state and you're focused on your work and you have a clear focus, it goes better, it goes faster, and then you have more free time. So working with, mindfulness, your mental state, I learned from lesson Hillary's business is called state of mind, because nothing's more important than your state of mind. So all of that just enforces that, so we can make better decisions and focus more when we're not in our conscious mind just kind of going crazy, thinking about everything and trying to do it all at once.
Small sidetrack here. Last week when we were talking to Hillary at lunch, and she was talking about that new service that she was going to offer in January. Is that public?
Yes.
So that's the tarot cards, right?
Yeah, she's doing a bit more, like, I think some card reading, some kind of psychic type stuff.
Sure.
I don't totally, that's not my world of connection, so would be in a similar type of realm, but...
Having said that, I was thinking the other day about something I thought about years ago with them, and that they should take the word hypnosis out of their name. And they should just be state of mind. Maybe that's it. Maybe the state of mind center, to better reflect that they do hypnosis, that Hillary can talk to dead people, all these different things. What do you think about that?
I think that's a conversation for them, but I agree with that. So I've been, it's funny. At first I was like, I don't even know if I'll use the word hypnosis or hypnotist. Turns out through my training and practicing, I'm really good at it, because I was really intending it to be mindfulness, how you do conversations, how you spot people's barriers getting in their way and deal with that a little bit. Not being shy about the word hypnosis, but so much comes up that scares people. And, hypnosis is just, an alternate, the technical definition is like an altered state of consciousness where you're open to positive suggestion. A better way is just, it's a period of focused relaxation. So you're just relaxed and focused. It's not that scary. You're not out of control. You don't lose control at all. You are in charge. So me as a hypnotist can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do or give suggestions that they don't want.
I think that's super important, because you had said that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, which is important for people to know.
Yeah.
Because before I started hypnotherapy, I thought it was you get on stage, you act like a chicken, or you do whatever the person says. And I've talked to them about that since, Les and Hillary, and Les was the one that made that clear of, you only do that if you want to do that.
You want to be there. So when you go to a great stage show, there's people who have shown up And they might be the quietest, most shy, fearful person, but deep down they want to be Neil Diamond. So they will volunteer, and they have put some intention into listening to the hypnotist, being open to that suggestion, and they want to be there. And that's important to understand for stage hypnosis. For me, my practice, I believe, will be focused around the things I know. So one is like, weight loss, fitness. I've made a lot of changes, and a lot of those have come with my own kind of self-hypnosis and how I talk to myself, which is that hypnosis. Like if we're always out like, oh, I'm stupid and I did this wrong and I can't do that, you're just reinforcing these negative suggestions. But if you can change to be like, I can do this, I am awesome, a lot changes for you. So for me, it's money, it's business. I'm doing a program now. We'll do an episode on it called The Trauma of Money. Almost everyone's in business because they got some money stuff going on. And their way around that is to become an entrepreneur and, be more in charge of their own lives. Now that I have some tools to help people clear some of the things that hold them back, like that's why I get passionate about it. But it's all about, the consulting hypnotist part is like, I'm a consulting person with a hypnotist tool to help you get the goals that you want to do. And, we use relaxation. We work with your subconscious mind. So there's some psychology that's happening, but you're not losing control at all.
Yeah, so talk a bit more about working with your subconscious mind and the altered state, because I think those words scare people.
Yeah, it is. Does seem scary, but subconscious mind is really, that's our personality. So we have, if you think of an iceberg, and Les and Hillary have a great iceberg poster picture, the part you see of an iceberg is your conscious mind, so that's where you're thinking. A good example is in business. If you're like, I need to have 52 coffee meetings next year. That's logical. I can have one coffee meeting a week. I can call this many people. But then we end up not doing it for some reasons. But when we think about those goals, we think, oh, I know how to do this. This is easy. Our subconscious mind is it's our personality. If you think of it as like almost like a tape recorder that tapes your entire life. So when you're born, you just start observing, and everything you experience, whether you're awake or not, you're absorbing, and you accept some suggestions that kind of come up through that. The subconscious mind forms some of our beliefs, our values, our behaviors of what we do. We learn things as we're a kid. We're a sponge for information. And the subconscious mind, absorbs those things as like, this is how we act. So if you wonder why you do the things you do, why you eat turkey at Christmas, is because your subconscious mind has absorbed it, and you and your body eat turkey at Christmas. So what we try to do is, we pick up all these things through our life. They keep us safe, but some of them don't serve us anymore. Right? We don't need to know, or we don't need to have them anymore. So we're kind of reprogramming it or changing our code a little bit. So something simple like, if you grow up and you're always doing poorly at your math homework, and you have a parent that says, oh, you're not good at math. You're not good at math. You might get into business and be like, I'm not good at math. How can I be in business? We can go in and really just say, I am good at math. That's a kind of a bird's eye view of those types of things. And the conscious level might accept that, but on a subconscious level, we might avoid ever looking at our bank account because we're like, I'm not good at math. We have this thing called, if we think of the iceberg where the surface of the water is, the critical factor. Critical factor is where we can bypass into our subconscious mind to kind of internalize some beliefs, behaviors. Those are three things get through: authority, trauma, and hypnosis. Trauma is a heightened state of emotion. So if you think of, Christmas and the happiest you've ever been, and it kind of burns into your mind and subconscious, that's from that heightened state of emotion. You love Christmas. You have to have certain colored lights on the tree because we want to kind of go about our life to recreate that. And in hypnosis, we can, add more positive suggestions to ourselves and deal with some of those beliefs or things that aren't serving us anymore.
The belief thing is interesting. So if you want to take Christmas as an example, why is it that we actually think Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year? It's because we've been told about it.
It's suggestion accepted. So, there's a book called Hypnotizing Maria, and it's like all hypnosis is suggestion accepted. So, there's a bit of a fun rabbit hole to go down, and for me, it's like you rethink your whole life because almost everything we do is a suggestion that we've accepted.
Yeah.
And sometimes we want to accept these suggestions. Other times we accept them and they don't actually serve us, right? So like Christmas is the most wonderful time of the year. So if you're not happy at Christmas, there can be some guilt. Christmas is a giant power structure of all sorts of suggestions that we've accepted, and it causes a lot of emotional stress, and it's good and bad. And that's so true of business as well. And that's where, using, calming our mind, going into the subconscious, we start, implanting or rewriting, giving ourselves positive suggestions. We take some of the things holding us back and we deal with those so that we can meet our goals and really be run the type of business we want to run.
How do you think this is going to help your business the most?
I've already seen how just the conversational hypnosis of being really intentional with the suggestions I give people, talking to them to try to understand what's in their way, and then just really positive suggestion around that. So from a coaching standpoint and teaching, I just have this whole other level of awareness for that as a hypnosis, as a tool, like going through Hillary's program. Like that she has, I will probably have one around our money stuff because money is so layered. And a lot of people, everyone has money stuff. And the more I learn, I feel like I have a program that's going to help people just be more comfortable, confident with, how they make and manage their money, less worried about the future of their money. All of these things that kind of get in the way of us having the time and focus to do the things we want to do.
Are you actually going to hypnotize the people that you're working with?
Oh yeah, as long as they want that, of course.
Like state of mind style in a chair?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I would do that, but I am really good at it. And for me, there's a heightened state of focus when I'm doing that, where I feel like I could do a really good job with understanding what people are dealing with and giving them, guiding them through that.
That's cool.
Hypnosis is very much, people often ask, well, what does it feel like? And a lot of people will say things like, I've never felt more relaxed. People who've done meditation, very, very similar. Hypnosis is, one of the jokes, or no, it's not really a joke, but, meditation with a purpose. And it's, guided with a reason for that session or that day. So I will definitely have some programs to do that and take people through that. But, part of the myths is I don't trick people into hypnosis, or like I'm not going to, like I can't hypnotize you right now unless you wanted to be hypnotized.
The last thing I want is for you to hypnotize
Yeah,
me.
we are in the alpha state. at the moment.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm sure I could give you some suggestions that you would accept.
Yes.
And you would be right in there, right? I'm not going to make you cluck like a chicken, but I might make you walk around like business leader of the year a little bit.
I already knew that.
That would work. But yeah, again, it's things you want, right? I was talking to someone last week who was struggling a little bit with making some calls. And they had all of these kind of fears or reasons not to sit down and call people about their business. And even in that conversation of filtering in some positive suggestion, filtering in some of the tools I've learned, that person then felt great about it. And they set up, I believe, like half a dozen meetings as a result of, a couple hours of that effort, which was an amazing success. So I just like, well, if I can help like this, like I'm obligated to help more people.
Yeah.
With that.
That's funny. Just in what I've learned, being in that state and being hypnotized, I've started to do it only to Hillary. And I guess in certain cases, like maybe my wife in general, well, of certain questions and things that you learn about, like breaking down those limiting beliefs. Where in the last couple of weeks, Hillary a couple times has said something, and I was like, I'm joking, but at the same time, I'm like, well, where did you first feel that? Or who was the...
Oh, it's a great tool, right? Yeah, where did you get that from?
Yes.
Right.
And when was the first time you thought that? Or I forget what it was last week, but I'm like, who made you feel that way? And she kind of looks at me kind of like, stop it. But then at the same time, she's like, yeah, you're right.
And this is our mind, this is our subconscious. So in business, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
People come in to, we start our own business, and often it's a response to something we've experienced in the workplace or a way we want things to happen. And then we'll start operating as if we're in somebody else's world. And a lot of that's, where did you get that from? Great example is, a great tool in most businesses is the proper use of leverage or debt. But people will get in and be like, I don't want any debt at all. And it's like, well, where did you get that from? Why is that? And when you unpack it, now suddenly, I was talking to someone last week who was planning to borrow all this money and have it paid off in a year. That's a lot of stress for a business.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe if you're borrowing the money and paying it off over 5 years, now you have more cash flow to manage just getting a business off the ground, having enough money to do marketing. Like when you can actually now have a conversation about what the business needs to fulfill your vision and address the realities like, hey, we actually have to spend money on marketing, you're going to get more success than if you're just like, oh, I can't have any debt. Like I must borrow and then put everything into paying it off and not paying. Like all of those things just pile on more and more stress. And when you're stressed and you're in that beta state, it's hard to do the focused work that you need to do to make your business successful.
That's really interesting.
So my hot take on, because some people will be like, oh, is hypnosis real? Is it like a Jedi mind trick? Am I doing anything like kind of magic? And there's lots of ways to say, oh, it is magic and special. But if nothing else, if we take you as an example, learning to relax, slow your mind down, and giving you time to focus, even if it's like, you go from 12-hour days of craziness to 2 hours of focused work and you get more done, life is just better. So like just the benefits of relaxation and focus is enough to me to say, hey, that's a great tool. I want to help people do that.
Yeah, definitely a lot more relaxed and focused personally and professionally, more patient personally, and it's just having me not question beliefs that I've had throughout my life or heard recently, and recognizing, is this real or is this something someone wants me to believe? and become like this crazy conspiracist that my dad said I would one day turn into. But
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes I do feel like that, where you're like, oh, everything I believe is wrong, and in many ways it is.
Mm-hmm.
But we get to choose what we believe
Mm-hmm.
and not believe, and as a tool for business, it's as simple as, oh, I can learn this, or I can do marketing, or this is what running my finance, my cash flow actually looks like, versus these suggestions in our mind that is this big, complicated, technical spreadsheet that you're not good enough or smart enough to do. So you just don't even bother trying anything. And when we're systematically kind of tackling these things in a way that's calm and focused versus, the hustle bro coach who kind of shames you into like doing the spreadsheets better, that stuff doesn't work. But when it's calm and focused and we're tackling these barriers, now suddenly it's easy to run those spreadsheets, or it's easy to focus on what you should be focusing on to grow your business. And then the results show up.
Yeah, I think it would be good for every business owner to do hypnosis, if only for the reason to remove the limiting belief that they have to always be at their business for it to be running.
Yeah, and that's a great example of a limiting belief, right? I have to be here to do this. Another great one that some people have is, time equals money, right? So I must be at my desk, or I can only charge people based on how long it took me.
Yeah.
And so many of the keys to building a profitable business is unpacking these limiting beliefs. And our conscious mind understands it. It looks logical, but then when you go to try to do it, you will procrastinate, or you won't quite do it, or you'll be in that sales conversation, and instead of saying, hey, this costs $500, you're like, well, it's an investment, and it's really expensive, and it's $300. But if you're confidently like saying, oh, it's $500, and then people say yes, well, you just made yourself $200 more versus getting caught in these little traps.
A big one for me, I think it was in the spring or summer, sometime this year, was the idea that I had to work hard to be successful, which boomers right now are turning off their podcast if they've ever found a podcast before, but they're turning this podcast off. But the idea of like you having to work really hard to be successful, which I now have learned is frankly not true. And it's a limiting belief, and it slows us down, but it doesn't slow us down, but it actually makes things so much worse because you're just frantic all the time.
Yeah, my pushback to that is I think it's actually harder work to put in the work to be able to calm yourself down, to work slower and smoother, and to say no to a lot of things. But you're right, the common one is I must be working hard. So we will find things to do. Mm-hmm. We will over-engineer our products. We'll over-engineer our business. We'll try to add, there's people out there like, oh, you need 9 revenue streams. So, create a product that makes you $5 a day while you sleep. And
passive income.
Passive income. So, we'll force, and I have done this so much. And, we recorded a podcast on New Year's resolutions. In my own business, I'm putting in the work to kind of slow down. And I would bet money that the results of that is going to be that I make more money and I do better work, because I'm removing these limiting beliefs of all the things I have to do. For me, a big limiting belief is that businesses are about serving people. But really, it's about serving me and my needs. And I have a need, to make money to live, like every person does. There's nothing wrong with money. But I also have a need I like connection. I like intellectual connection, emotional connections, and that's kind of under the realm of, we use the word intimacy. People sometimes see that as, physical partner connection, but there's other things. So for me, when I coach, when I teach, I can get that sort of connection and work with someone and help them get their goals. So yes, it is about them, but when I focus too much on it serving others, then I'll sacrifice myself to try to give people too many things too much for free. But when I realize, hey, it's about an exchange and I'm getting, the connection, I'm able to do deep work that I want to do and I make money, like that's the focus. So it's about me, and every person's business is about them.
Yeah, and I wonder if people hear me say that you have to work hard to be successful, and then they wonder, is Matt not making as much money as he was a year ago or 2 years ago, or what's he doing business-wise? I'm making more money now monthly than I ever have, ever, and I still have less accounts than I did at the beginning of COVID, where I had like 30-something accounts.
Yeah.
And I've brought my average retainer up. It's at least twice as much. I think it's more. I think it might be 3 times as much.
Yeah.
But
and you're doing better work.
It's way better work. It's way better work. Things are more stable. We onboard things better. I've focused a lot of time on onboarding people. We've focused more work on getting that to be better, to speed up that process. It already was really fast. I joked today with Emily and Sarah that I said, I told someone we could do it in a week, and Emily was kind of like, oh, we can do it in less than that. And I'm like, even a week is like unreasonable.
It's lightning speed.
I'm like, that's unreasonable. Most agencies are going to say 4 weeks. And Sarah's like, yeah, I would have told them 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, most say 6 to 8.
Oh, yeah. Like, we move at lightning speed. And even the other day we're doing, I left the meeting in Bob Cajun, and I messaged our friend Schaff, the photographer for the project that we're trying to get off the ground. And I was like, when do you want to do this? She was like, the person was like, we're not doing this before Christmas, right? It was like a week before Christmas. I'm like, maybe.
Yeah.
And I messaged him, and by the time I got back to the office, he was like, yeah, let's go Monday. And like, we're doing that today. So
yeah.
it moves fast. People don't want to wait around. Like, we don't, like, I was thinking about that too. Like, not that we're young or ambitious, but like, it feels like that. It feels like, why wait? Like, let's get these things done. And it's not rushing work. It's not rushing quality. It's like, let's just get it done.
It's focused attention. And I think that, to me, as I go down this route and as I kind of reinvent my whole business, it's that really believing that to get the results you want, you need that focused attention. And especially in business, we are bombarded with shame. And I call it the should monster, which is like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And then we worry about it.
Yeah.
So it discourages people from being in business, or it discourages them from focusing on, their processes. Because it's like, well, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, or I should follow this system. And, this guy who's famous over here says he does this, I should do that too.
Yeah.
When really it's all about you, your own mind, how you work, who you want to serve, how you want to operate. And you've done a great job of kind of navigating through those things to build what you want. Mm-hmm. And the more you could focus on it, it just picks up momentum. And like going into the next year, you're probably more confident than ever. And you're doing better than you've ever done at this moment.
I was really worried that as I was building the business to work for me, I was going to upset the people I was working with. And the work wasn't going to be good enough for them, or they weren't going to get what they needed from me. And I've frankly not found that at all. I think we've only improved it and stabilized things and built better relationships with those people, frankly.
Yeah, that's another just good example of, a fear people have, right? So we have this fear that probably isn't a real thing. Mm-hmm. So, in my work, things I've learned, our bodies react to fear. When we have that, we don't do our best work. So we can get caught in these traps of like, well, if I do this, everyone will, hate me, or they won't like it and it won't work. But when we can even break that down and be like, well, maybe I'll try it and see what happens. And then you do try it and it works. And it turns out more people want it and they want it that way. Or you'll find the people who do want you to work that way because you're not doing it in a way that's just so strange and so foreign that nobody's going to want to work with you, right? Like, we say some of these core basic concepts, they're not magic. Like, you're not doing anything that's like so unique that no one else is doing it, but you're focusing on it and you're not doing all the things that maybe society tells us marketers should be doing, right? And those are the things that don't serve you.
Yeah, because like I don't work Fridays, and I'm still kind of I often hesitate to tell people that. I'm less concerned. I
think your clients like it because you want to work with someone who's so scheduled that they don't work Fridays because they're paying you to take care of their marketing. They don't want to be worrying about it. We've talked about this before. If you are the Fiverr and they're in charge and they're just hunting down the people doing the bits of work,
marketing operational person,
then they want you to jump, or they don't like that you're off, or they don't think you're working. That actually, as I talk through this, those are all their issues, right? Trust issues, control issues. They should come to see me for maybe consider some hypnosis, because it does allow you to be more firm in what you want, and then you find the guides and the people to collaborate that fit you better. And then both people's businesses get better. Yeah. And you feed off each other, and maybe both of you don't work Fridays. And that is, to me, the magic, quote unquote, of all of this is as we start working on our own state of mind, business gets better, collaboration, relationships get better, and everything becomes easier.
I first thought when I was telling people that I don't work Fridays that they're going to think that I'm lazy. But now my state of mind is that when I tell people I don't work Fridays, they recognize that it's my responsibility to figure out when to do their work at other times. And I think it actually shows them that I have such great control and management of my business that I'm able to not work Fridays, and it's not affecting the work at all, and it's only making it better.
I think a lot of, I quote Dan Sullivan a lot and his company, Strategic Coach, and they have a new little mini book coming out. I think it's a mini book. I don't think it's one of the big, like, Who Not How kind of big market books, but the culture in their organization is like, you must have a fulfilling life outside of work or you don't get to work there. So their employees, once you're there, you're 3 months, everyone gets the same number of holidays. It's 6 weeks a year. And if you are working outside of your work hours, it means either you're doing too much work and they need to find a way in the system to either share that or hire someone else, or you're not good enough to do your job, and that's another conversation and another path. But people don't do their best work, they don't do their most focus, they don't grow as much if they don't have a fulfilling life overall and are relaxed. So committing to that time off just gives you the strength and the energy so that when you are here, you are focused, and when you're focused, you do good and better work.
That's so funny, because now I'm thinking too about where I was in my state of mind. Do another drink. This is now a drinking game.
Drinking podcast. Game?
But my state of mind when I first started the business was I did not have a fulfilling life, which sounds terrible.
And it's why we get into business, because we want a fulfilling life, and then we fall into the trap of, I'm just busy all the time.
And it sounds terrible, because I had little kids and a wife and business and everything, but I was working, going upstairs, hanging out with the kids, having dinner, putting them to bed, going back to work. All I was doing was thinking about work. And then I found Carbon Heights Fitness Academy. Then I found golf. Then I found other things that made me have a fulfilling life beyond just work and family. And that sounds terrible still, but the idea of I needed to do something else with my time and have my brain think about other things.
Yeah, even though what I want to say is, where did you get that from? That it sounds terrible, but it's true. Again, we have all these suggestions accepted. I'll share for me, one of my limiting beliefs, and you get it as a kid, you should be doing something. You should be studying. You should be learning. We've joked on here before. I think once you said you would read yourself to death. And that is a limiting belief, that I should be studying and working on something.
That's all you used to do.
So when I look at, before I started some of this work, my entire life I have been in a kind of flight state or activated state. And weekends, I think I worked 7 days a week since I was in high school.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, I think I had, nowadays, you need 40 hours of community service before you graduate. I tracked my hours, and I had something like 1,500 in high school, which is insane, right? I remember being so proud of that. But when I look at that plus homework plus stuff, it was ridiculous. And my whole adult life, I've always been working towards a course or studying something. And it's only really been recent where I'm intentionally trying to take time completely off. And with that is limiting beliefs, or the should monster, right? You should be busy. You should be studying. You should be productive. So even coming into we're recording this before Christmas holidays, and some people are like, oh, I'm off on vacation. My whole life it's been, I got some downtime coming up. Here's all these things I should do or I should get ahead on.
Yeah.
And I'm in this battle, and I use my own self-hypnosis practice to release this idea that I need to suddenly spend my whole holidays catching up on doing work.
That's funny, because I was the same way with an idea. Because it's not a struggle. It's not a struggle at all, actually. But it's still there, a lot of these beliefs and thoughts. And sometimes
the work never ends.
No. And I always take time off when my kids are not in school. Every PA day, holiday, I'm at home. And we got 2 weeks off over the holidays. The first week is great. The second week, kids should be back in school. That's a different podcast. Christmas is done. It feels like 1,000 years ago. Everyone's back at work. You're like, man, I really should be working. But I was like, okay, with those 2 weeks off, this would be a great time to do a renovation in the boardroom at Thrive. Got a wicked idea. And I want to make it more comfortable and homey, and I want people to leave that boardroom thinking, man, I have to work here again, because they don't get that experience right now. Different podcast, probably good. And then I was like, I'm going to go in on the holidays, over the Christmas break, a couple hours. And for me, a couple hour renovation is 4 days probably, because I'm not good at anything.
Limiting beliefs. I
can't swing a hammer.
We got a whole agenda going on here.
At some point, and I don't even remember what it was, and if you did it on purpose, I don't know if it was. I think it was here. We're recording a podcast with Les, I think. But I was like, I'm not going to come in. I don't need to come in over the holidays to do that little bit of work. I'm going to take those 2 weeks off. I'm not going to bring my laptop home. I've got one in the basement. But I'm not going to intend to do any work. And I will just spend time over the holidays thinking of a way to do that during my work hours.
Yeah.
I can do it on Mondays, because my whole Monday internal days are kind of thrown for a loop because of your semester.
Yeah.
So Monday afternoons, I'm just going to pick away at that.
This is just a great example of the work in progress, or even the the positive suggestion from for me as someone with friends, clients, to want to be a positive person of you don't have to do that, or you can challenge someone about that, and then just take the time off and enjoy it, because you'll get more fulfilled, more charged up, and then you're not worrying about it. People will ruin their whole holiday thinking about the one day they have to go do a project.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily do that, but lots of people do.
It will weigh on me. I'll kind of be thinking of it leading into it, and not like the day before. I'll probably be distracted. The day after, I'll be tired, type of thing. So I'm glad not to do that. And I don't want to use the word burnt out. I'm really tired. I need some rest. I need to recharge. I need to just be at home. Go to the gym. I've kind of committed myself because normally when I'm off, I won't go to the gym. I have to go to the gym for me to have a good day.
Awesome.
And I might go to the 6:30 class instead of my normal one and sleep in another hour, but I'm going to go to the gym next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the week after I'll go every day. And then other than that, that's it.
Yeah.
I have hypnotherapy one of those days, and that's the only thing that I have planned.
That's awesome. I mean, that's proof of, I think for me, seeing the benefits you've been able to adopt with that as a tool. So again, consulting hypnotists to help out with that. We're not therapists. That's a different thing, but it's a tool to help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
From a business money standpoint, we have so many things that if I can help people unpack it and then build the life they want, like that's what I'm here.
And you know what will happen after those 2 weeks? Nothing. Nothing negative is going to happen.
No.
There will be no fires. There will be no collateral damage.
Yeah.
If something needs to be done that is a quote emergency, the project manager on my team is going to take care of it.
Yeah.
Like I've said 1,000 times, there's no such thing as a marketing emergency. But if something has to be done, first of all, it doesn't. It can wait. There's nothing that's going to be urgent.
The problem comes up, you can solve it.
Yeah, I'm not that operational marketing manager.
Yeah.
I'm a marketing manager, a strategic marketing manager type of thing. I learned that over the summer, the 1 week on, 1 week off. I dealt with no fires. Nothing came up.
Such a limiting belief that we have to deal with fires. I realized that recently because my whole career, I've programmed myself to be over helping people, putting out fires. When I look at the bank, it's like overdraft, emergency, I'm out of money, got to do a loan, has to be tomorrow, or like last week would have been best. And then into consulting, and it's all deadline driven and chaos, and you program that in. And recently, even managing my email, I was like, I some days don't even get any emails. And that's actually normal and the way it should work.
Yeah.
Because as I pivot to be the coaching business and the work I do, I don't have 8 million clients. And if I'm doing my job, we meet during our coaching times. I'll get some texts a bit in between. I'll get the odd email of like adding stuff to the agenda. But I'm not the let's put out every fire you have coach. So I don't even get that. So I was like, this is actually how it should work. Whereas at the bank, I was activated all the time. The phone would ring and I would like go into fear mode because it's like, what don't I have time to do that's coming up for this person? And then you respond. And I work every Saturday, catching up on my credit applications because someone's lights are about to get turned off. Or, one day someone literally had hydro there to shut off their power. And I'm like on the phone with the hydro guy being like, I'm almost, we're almost about to, bring a check type of emergencies. And that's not a good way to live life.
It's actually really funny. I'm thinking about that now. Like, how many emails do I get a day from people that I work with that I've not initiated? Like none.
That's
1 or 2 a month. Now that I think about it, and they're not fire emails. They're, can we talk about this next time?
Yeah.
Which even sounds.
It's like adds it to the agenda.
Yeah, or like, hey, can we take a look at this, or can we talk about this, or what can you tell me about this in the future, type of thing.
And that's a whole other. I'll get into it when we go through some trauma of money, but we get all these worries about money and emergencies that aren't really emergencies. Mm-hmm. And with our state of mind, we're trained to respond as if it's like, oh no, something's going to happen. But it's not. It could be, can we add this to our agenda for a meeting in 2 weeks? Hey, I'm thinking about this right now. Let's address it in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. That's the way you want to do it versus the, oh no, I have this idea now. Quick, everyone jump on it and distract yourselves to solve it. And then sometimes by the time you solve it, it's not even a problem anymore because it's sorted itself out.
I just immediately started thinking about how to like make that better for the people I work with, and I was like, what if we have a shared drive, or we do have shared drives, and they don't always use them as
sometimes
much,
it's just as easy to just email it, right?
Anyways, yeah.
But yeah, like these are the, the technical pre-talk. I kind of fit in lots of good stuff. But even talking through these things, a lot of it's limiting beliefs. It's managing fear and emotions and worry. And when you're calm and can rationally attack these things, it just becomes easier. And you can then focus on the real work that you want to do.
I love hypnosis as a coaching tool.
Yeah, like it's a tool to me. It's not a miracle. It's not the magic beans, but it's a great tool.
I've always thought it was a good idea, and I've said this, I talk most to Hillary, but I've always said this to Hillary, of like telling more business owners about hypnosis, because I think one of the problems with often focusing on hypnosis for anxiety and hypnosis for weight loss.
Stopping weight loss, anxiety, stopping smoking are kind of the biggest ones that people know it for.
And I think there's an onus on the person to admit that they have a problem, which won't happen often.
Yeah.
And
or it's a problem-solving tool versus a life betterment tool.
Yes.
And I think that for me was a big, like I would never, ever, ever in my life go to hypnosis, but I knew less from teaching together at Fleming.
Yeah.
Respect him very much, and I was like, oh, maybe he can help me feel a bit better.
Yeah.
And it's led to a whole new world versus like, oh, I have this massive problem, or things are really bad now, I need this. Whereas for business owners, it's like it just could help you feel better, focus more. Yeah, all the time.
It's the story brand situation where it's like, yeah, you have these problems, but you're not explaining to me how I can actually use hypnosis. Or, okay, so I'm the business owner. Or if you came to me and were like, hey, are you a stressed out dad? Because right now, most of the focus is like, hey, are you anxious or do you have stress? Yeah. And it's like, well, yeah, everybody does. But to speak to me more on...
We've also normalized it. Yes. We've also accepted the suggestion that everyone's just stressed all the time. And, like, that's just how life is as a business owner.
And you do think there's going to be magic beans. Where I remember, like, I started CrossFit, like, at Carbon Heights.
Yeah, I'm going to be ripped in 3 weeks.
Well, I did it as, like, a stress relief.
Yeah.
Or, like, to start a fulfilling life. At the time, I didn't know what. And then, like, that was extremely effective. Now I don't even go there for that, I've learned. Like, that's not I used to go there because it took my mind off work.
Yeah.
I was like, that worked. And then it's not that about that anymore. I find it doesn't help with that, really. It actually, because I'll find I'm working out and sometimes I'll have like really good ideas. And I'm like, damn, I wish I could write this down right now.
You need to carry around a little notebook. Note to self memo.
Yeah, if I do that, I'm going to start getting in bar fights.
Yeah.
But then anyways, like I think it's another tool is what I was trying to get at.
Yeah,
like,
all these tools and like...
CrossFit, and it came in, and then it was, frankly, like guided meditation and sleep stories and some of these things I keep doing or I change, and then it was golf. And
we need these tools, right? These kind of collaborations. It's not one size fits all. I look at, again, who, not how, people have coaches and who's around them to help them out. So that's why I love the term consulting hypnotist, because it's a consulting tool. It's not a once a week for the rest of your life thing. You could get a lot done in a few sessions, and it adds on to, coaching. I want to be one of several coaches people have in their life, right? Because you're the one in charge. You're the one doing the work, and you just, bring in tools and coaches to help with the things that get in your way along the way.
Yeah. I thought I had a good thought, but I've lost it. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You don't have to be sorry.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Well, this has been fun. This is one of our longest joint podcasts in a long time.
Was this an hour?
Almost.
Yikes. Time flies when you're in the alpha state.
It's true. What's really great is you were not in hypnosis, because you have a good concept of how much time has passed away.
Yeah.
And one of the signs of being deeper is that if you've ever been in flow and you're like, man, how did this 4 hours go by on my work? I thought it was only 2. It's a good chance you were in hypnosis.
Yeah, in hypnosis, I've always found that it was really quick. Less than 10 minutes, but it's usually an hour.
Yeah.
Hour and a half. And every time I would get out, I'd be like, wow, that one felt short. Was that shorter? She'd be like, no. It was our longest one.
Yeah. And that's, that's great. I'm happy to, talk more about that. If you're listening and you're like, oh, I'd like to give that a try, we'd love to, I'll set that up for you. Love to help use that as a tool to help make your business better.
Yeah, if you want to be hypnotized by Brian, email him at brian@profitcoach.ca. Quick note, I'm going to demand that we call this episode Brian is a Hypnotist! !
All right. Just one exclamation mark or 2 exclamation marks?
2 That's a different podcast. Well, 2 exclamation marks drives me bonkers.
What about 3?
3 is perfect.
Okay.
1 is good. 3 is also fine. 2 makes no sense. It drives me insane.
As an actor in the theater in this play I'm working on, there's a line about 3 exclamation marks.
Oh, really? 2 is chaos. 2, there was no rhyme and reason for it. It was like you couldn't take the time to just do 1 or do 3 makes sense to me. The 2, it's pandemonium.
Yeah, we'll do a whole other podcast on that. This would be fun. Show notes. We've covered lots of different things. If you'd like to be on the podcast with us, email us at setitup@kawarthasmallbusinesspodcast.ca.